Guys, here we go. We made it, guys. So, welcome to the live. Thanks for joining us. If you're on here with us right now, I'm Rob from MKE Bikers, and we got three other YouTubers here today, and we're trying something new for the first time. The four of us have been talking, and we said, hey, you know what we should do? Is we should get together and have a conversation about motorcycle stuff and see if people like it. So here we go. We're giving it a shot, and we're going to start today by talking about riding motorcycles around town versus riding them on long road trips. And it came up because we were talking with Bash. We're going to do intros here in just a second. We were talking with Bash. Bash said, you know what? I just went on my first long road trip, and man, that was different. So for you guys out there that are old pros, and there's many of you out there, add into the comments your thoughts on some of the things we talk about. For those of you that are kind of new to the game, ask questions and listen up, because we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff today, and hopefully we have a good time doing it. So now we got to get into intros. So let me put this thing up here. Here we go. And we're going to start with, I think we before decided it was going to be Bash or Free. When do you guys go?
I'm going. Why not?
You got it, Free.
Start it off.
Go ahead.
What's going on, guys? This is Free from the FreeFree channel. We do everything motorcycles, installs, events, whatever. We're usually hanging out in the garage, so stop by anytime. Come hang out at the garage.
And what are you riding right now, Free?
Wow. Well, I have three bikes that I try to cycle regularly, so that as not to cause any animosity in the garage. Things go on at night when I'm not there, so I try to keep the peace. But I have the 09 FJR 1300 Yamaha. That's my super sport tourer. I have Titan, who is my 2004 VTX 1800. And then I recently got my boy Blue, who is it's a 2019 Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager 1700, and I'm loving it so far.
And if any of you see Free out on his Yamaha, you'll know it's him, because he's got a small billboard-sized sticker on the saddlebag.
We decided to remove that banner for advertising purposes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It was too big. It was distracting air traffic overhead or something.
We were veering traffic, so you know.
All right, where are you from, Free?
We are in Buffalo, New York.
Awesome. All right, Bash, you up next?
Yep. ST Bash here, everyone. I'm from H-Town. I've only been riding motorcycles now for about 3 years, and I ride a 2023 Lowrider ST in Vivid Black, and I haven't named her yet, but I promise you that will be coming soon.
Awesome. So H-Town representing. We've got Buffalo. Now we got Houston. Let's go back to Buffalo. Jeff, tell us about your channel, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Jeff Williams, 716. Like you said, I'm in Buffalo as well. My channel, what you'll find here is basically I like to do travel videos. That's what I mainly do. It's basically about places I go and the people I see and the events that I attend. That's one of the things I absolutely love. So that's what I show the most. I have three motorcycles as well. I have a Victory Hammer 8-ball, that's a 2013. I have a Harley Davidson Road Glide Limited, that's a 2022. And recently I bought a 2024 Harley Davidson CVO Road Glide ST. Love them all, and I got that one in the white, and love them all.
That new CVO ST is a sweet ride, man.
Absolutely.
That thing's amazing. And Bash's bike.
This is not mine. This is my son's dirt bike, for anybody. Not mine.
He's just teasing us with another random motorcycle that he's not even going to mention. He's like, I have three amazing motorcycles. Oh, yeah, and this thing that's behind me, too. All right, welcome, Jeff. And I'm Rob from MKE Bikers. My channel is about motorcycles, obviously. I'm an ex-Harley employee and know a lot about the motor company, and I talk about that from time to time. And I love doing motorcycle rallies, going riding with my wife, and I got buddies around the Milwaukee area that we ride with. So yes, I am from Milwaukee, or from the Milwaukee area, or have been for the last 25 years. And I'm riding right now a 2024 CVO Street Glide in Legendary Orange. I love that motorcycle. Her name is Caliente because she's hot. All right. So that is our intro. Let's talk about the topic at hand here. We have a question to answer, and the thing that we're going to talk about here is around town rides versus road trip rides, and what do you got to do for those different types of rides. And so I thought it'd be fair to start with everyone's perspective of what is an around town ride. So what do you guys think? If you were to define an around town ride versus a road trip ride, how would you define it?
Well, I'll start off. I know for the Houston area, we have a pretty large area to cover. So an around town ride for us could be, I don't know, anywhere from 1 to 2 hours just to get across and then back. And, it's usually a meetup for either a quick bite, a cigar, maybe a drink, and then come right back home.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on
Other
the city
thoughts?
you're in, maybe how big you city. Because I'm thinking, and I lived in Atlanta for a year, and man, it's huge. Depending on where you're going, same thing. Houston, that could be a couple hours. Now Buffalo, not so much. So we kind of veer out, but I mean, around town to me, I guess, considering that if you're in a city where it takes you, 2 hours to encircle it or even get across town. I would say, maybe an around town ride is something where you're not getting a hotel.
That's where my head was at, Free, is that you're not on a road trip until you're spending the night someplace that's not your bed.
Yeah.
That's where my head's at.
I think I was somewhere right in between by thinking an around town trip is somewhere around 6-7 hours. It's not something that I'm going to plan my whole day around. I'm going to go for a trip. I'm going for a ride and I'm going to be back. So it's not something that I'm planning a dinner or dinner outside. I'm pretty much going to be like, hey, I'm leaving at noon or 11 o'clock and I'll be home around dinner time, 6-7 hours from now. So that to me is an around town trip where I'm not really going. So I kind of look at that time frame. It's not so far how far I'm going. It's about the time frame of where I'm going to go and how long it's going to take me to get back. Yeah,
because I've done around town rides where I've just been screwing around for a few hundred miles.
Yeah.
But when you have a comfortable motorcycle, you can do that, right? You can go pretty far and still make it home, and you're not, So I kind of view that even going few hundred miles, just as long as you end up at home at the end of the day, that's an around town ride in my mind.
I agree.
Okay, so then the road trip, that one's pretty easy. I think we covered that, right? So if you're spending the night somewhere else,
Yeah. So.
Is one night really a road trip though? And I'm gonna I don't know if I picture like one night being really a road trip. Now we've done some one nights where we went to like Lake George, which is only 6-7 hours from us, or we've gone to like Pennsylvania when we did the triple nickel. That was only like 6 hours from us, and we only stayed one night. I don't really picture that as a road trip. Now road trip like we're coming to Milwaukee. That was a road trip because when we got there, we stayed 2 or 3 days, and then we had a road trip to come back home as well. So I picture it a little bit bigger than just overnight for a road trip. That's just me, though.
Yeah. Well, that's 600 miles to get there.
I would say I agree with that.
Yeah. I think the bike has something to do with it too. Like you said, you said we got comfortable bikes now, and I agree. I mean, if you have something that is worthy of doing some miles, that all changes too because. We ride with Crispy, and we rode from Buffalo to Ohio Bike Week. What is that? Mentor? Is that Mentor that it's in?
Sandusky.
So it's like a 3-hour ride or whatever. And this dude that we ride with, he was a subscriber. We always reach out to subscribers and say, hey, if you want to roll with us, want to ride to this function or whatever, hit us up. We'll ride. And we've done it with a bunch of, so far. So Crispy now, is a regular, and he found out we were going to Ohio. This dude drove from Pennsylvania to Ohio in one day, like 270 miles or whatever, hung out with us during, the Ohio Bike Week, and then drove all the way back home that night.
So that was around town for him.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty much.
yeah, you didn't get a hotel, but if you're coming back at 2-3 in the morning, did you?
Yeah, that was a haul.
I don't know. I mean, I guess some people's definition of around town or hey, I'll be back, I'm taking a ride, I guess might be a little bit different. But I would say like Jeff, a couple days in, you need to be out there, right? Especially with the way that we've been riding. I mean, like when we went to Ohio, we rode for 6 hours just to start riding for the day. Like we took off early in the morning and rode all that distance and was still trying to check out the roads, So we could have gone back that day, but we were like, we really didn't need to. So it was just out of convenience to say, hey, we'll just crash there and we'll, leisurely, ride on back the next day, So even that, I think one day is not really a road trip, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I still agree with Jeff. It
is another state.
I think a road trip constitutes a multi-stop, multi-night, like over a long distance. I think if you're doing like a one overnight, I wouldn't really count. I would just say, hey, I took a short trip. I don't think that I'd count it as a road trip.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about what do you got to do to prep. So we just talked about around town, meaning a lot of stuff, but maybe just keep it simple, right? So what do you got to do to prep for around town?
You coming back late at night? You got clear lenses?
Yeah. Who was it that just did that? Free? Yeah.
We got me and Jeff. We got caught just last night out there. We were a good ways out. About I think we're maybe an hour from home and about 28 minutes from the sun going down. But the good thing is, I mean, before it got too crazy, we got back to the city and had like street lights to kind of help out. But we took a quick stop because we seen this little festival, and from there we were already deep into the city, so we just rode without glasses entirely. I did.
Roughed it.
Jeff did for a little bit, but then his glasses weren't as dark as mine. So.
Yeah, and I think for an around the town trip, I think that is the number one thing. I think you kind of mentioned it earlier too. Was the maybe a layer of clothing, a sweatshirt or something like that might be important. You leave out early in the day in a t-shirt, but when that sun goes down, you could lose 8 to 10 degrees, maybe 20 degrees.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah. So Bash, you're gonna.
Yeah, no, I think early on when we first started riding around town, me and my buddies, of course, it was getting close to like wintertime, so it was during the fall, and we were riding out. We tried to hurry up and get back home before the sun went down, and of course we got stuck out there. The sun went down, and it had dropped probably about 10 or 15 degrees, and we were just dead silent the last stretch home because we were trying to focus on staying warm. I swear my knuckles were going to fall off. It was
no
bad.
one has nothing to say. That's
nothing. Just dead silence on the car.
Yeah, just get there. Just get there.
Yeah, the things you learn riding a motorcycle. When I first started riding, I remember I rode out to Rochester. It was like, hour and 15-minute ride, city away from where I live. And, it was a hot day. It was like 80-something degrees. I'm blazing hot, man. The bike was just burning me on the street, and we're riding all the way out to go check out the beach out in Rochester. And beautiful day out on the beach, walking around. I'm hot and everything. We end up staying till later until it's like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and now we're coming home, and nobody tells you that it could be because if you don't ride a motorcycle, if you're just out on a summer night, midnight, 1 o'clock, it may feel a little cooler than the day was. It feels refreshing or whatever, but you still feel warm. No one says that. Like, I'm on a bike and a jeans and t-shirt now and feeling like it's winter time. Like, it was freezing cold.
But yeah, the wind chill is a game changer.
Yeah, the sun goes down, and it doesn't matter if it was hot that day. The wind chill of you moving, on the thruway and all that. Yeah. Gear is definitely essential around town or road trip.
Oh yeah.
So Bash, today in Milwaukee, it was 70 degrees
Oh, beautiful.
when I left the house. And so I brought my leather jacket because it's 70, right? I pull over at a park for a little bit, and then I'm going to go meet Donna, and we're going to go for a ride. And it was a little warm at the park. It was like 75, 76. And I'm like, I can do it with just a t-shirt now. And so by the time I caught up with her, I'm like, no, I want a sweatshirt. And so I was t-shirt only, sweatshirt, leather jacket, all in the same day.
Yeah. So I got a question for y'all. So I guess what we've been talking about, obviously cold weather, but I think one thing that's debatable and that I learned. So when you're riding in hot weather, do you guys go long sleeves and try to hide your skin from the sun, or do you rock the short sleeves and just try to feel the wind?
I fry. I just fry.
I
just cook.
I can't do it.
I have an opinion. I've got an opinion.
Go ahead, Rob.
I'm gonna try. I like them sleeves. I see people wearing the sleeve things, the real like breathable sleeves. I'm gonna try those out because we went down to Carlisle one time and it was painful. Like by the time we got there, I was like in pain, and I didn't have no long sleeve tee to put on, and just kept on trucking, and I was just crispy.
Yeah.
So I will not ride for an extended period of time in the heat without covering my skin. And I'll wear a summer jacket.
Yeah.
And a summer jacket, in my estimation, is even cooler than not wearing a summer jacket because you don't get any sun on you and you get all the same amount of wind.
That's exactly my point.
But when I go to Sturgis, sun's out, guns out, baby. I'm not going to be on the bike for hours at a time. We're going to be doing 100 miles and then getting off the bike. And so I'll go without a jacket then. But yeah.
I'm normally without sleeves. And I do notice a difference. Like if I have my short sleeve on, if my sleeve comes up, you can definitely see the difference in the color of my skin.
How else are you going to get such a sweet biker tan, man? You're like,
that's right. We all got them.
get the raccoon eyes.
Yeah. But yeah,
you got it.
Clicking on that, back in that theme, and I'd also say it's pretty much if you ride with a half shell, you might want to consider that for around a town trip is having your full face with you. It can definitely, if it starts to rain and you only have your half shell, it absolutely sucks. So I normally try to bring my full face with me whenever I'm even around town ones, especially if I know rain is in the forecast.
Spoken like a guy with a tour pack.
Yeah.
Let's see you try that on the new CVO.
Yeah, that's funny. It works out because I need the full face with the CVO.
There you go on the CVO.
But yeah, I've gotten caught out there with the half shell, and it sucks in the rain.
So another thing happened to Donna and I today. We went out to the oil can, which I think, Bash, you went to right after we met this summer.
Yep, sure did.
So Donna and I went up there. I thought it was on Highway O, which no one knows where I'm talking about right now, but it was very far away from where I thought it was. I'll just leave it at that.
I thought it was on Highway O.
And so now my question is another prep item to know where the hell you're going before you leave.
I try not to, as much as possible.
Yeah,
if it's a local ride or if it's a road trip, I mean, you better know where you're going. But if it's around town, sometimes the whole point is
just wandering.
Going that
yep.
way.
I'd say invest in a good phone mount.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's basically what I was doing. So I got the little drawer on my Street Glide now, and so I had the phone propped up in the drawer, and it was telling me where to go. So I couldn't get it to go on the nav on the bike fast enough.
Oh, wow.
All right. I think we beat up around town enough here. What do you guys think about prep for a road trip? This is next level here. So we talked about a couple of simple things for around town. I mean, honestly, guys, when I get on the bike, I'm like, good enough when it's around town, right?
Right.
I'm leaving for a road trip. I'm thinking about all kinds of stuff. So what do you guys think about when you're doing that?
First thing that comes to my mind is lodging. It has to be. That has to be. I need a definite know where I'm going to be sleeping at night. Free's a little bit more. He wants to be adventurous with me, and that doesn't settle well with me. I need to know
like
I'm
that.
putting my head down at the end of the day.
Yeah.
How do you do that, Free? I'm like, I can't wrap my head around that. How do you just go and not know where you're sleeping?
Gonna
When
wing it.
tired, lay down.
Crazy.
Hey, I'm the first dude that when everybody parks, like I'm laying on the grass, I'm laying down, getting every bit of that break that I can. I'm making it count, man. You know, I somewhat agree, but the last trip that we took this year, I built one of those in. I presented it to him, like, hey, you know,
Agreed.
Let's go cowboy, man. I had suggested like the whole Blue Ridge Parkway. Let's just ride till we ride, man, and then rest when we rest. And you know, we'll find what we find when we find it. And you know,
It's bothering him right now.
That's a little bit too fluid for me.
That's part of the adventure, man. Like, you know.
So Free, I want to do that so bad, but like for me, my biggest fear is I will be 100 miles away from a legitimate place to sleep, and I'll be exhausted and not know, and then I'm going to be exhausted for the next 2 hours before I get to that place, and it'll just be like torture for that whole 100 miles.
And then you got to settle. I mean, you're settling for whoever's open and has a room.
Yeah.
You are at the mercy.
Right. It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
I seen a biker one time. I mean, a true biker.
The biggest one for me. Knowing where I'm going to lay my head.
Oh, yeah. Yo, it puts a little bit of adventure in it. We did one night like that because we were unsure how far off. It was the last day on the Parkway, and we knew we were going to finish off the last bit we had with the Parkway, but we were kind of debating how much further we wanted to go. And then because we still had to get to New Hampshire the next day. And so that was going to be another trip. We're like, how much do we want to do now and take off of the next day, make it easier? And so we were just like, hey man, let's, when we get there, we figure it out. And I think we landed in like Roanoke.
We compromised because at the hotel the night before we booked a room of where we're gonna go to, so we knew where we were going when we left the last room.
But we left it to the last night though. I left it open
the last night to pick it, but we did have a room that we're going to.
Yeah, see, I gotta have a goal I'm riding toward. If I'm going 500 or 600 miles, there's got to be an end in sight. There's got to be, you know, I'm not gonna go to Buffalo and then figure it out once I get to Buffalo. I'm going to be like, no, I want to have a room, and I'm just going to go to the room.
Yeah, see, I might even be comfortable if it was Buffalo, but these were going to be cities like, you know, Shornork. You know, there's no hotels there. There's nothing there. So
I think my body. No, my body starts prepping itself. As soon as I realize we're getting close to where we're going, my body's already starting to prepare and starting to wind down, and I'm like, okay, we're almost there.
Just stay awake enough. All right, so lodging to prep for a road trip. What else?
Rain gear.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Gotta have it.
I one time rode back from Sturgis, and the entire 300-mile ride through South Dakota was in the wet. And that was so far, and it was with gear, and it was miserable.
Another thing, I would say black tape and zip ties.
Yep.
Serious, man. Like, when we went, like somebody told me, you know, I did the black tape, but I was like, you know, I should bring a couple zip ties just in case too, you know, and I never brought them, but my mount actually went while we were gone, and I realized that had I had 2 zip ties, because you know I have the meat hook handlebars, they go straight up on each side, so I could have just zip tied it against them, and I still would have had my mount, and I would have been good to go. So, just 2 simple zip ties would have solved that problem for me, and they're tiny. You can just slip them at the bottom of your, you know. about like 4 or 5 of them. When you don't have duct tape, you know.
I just recently got a battery charger, a battery jump start thing for the bike, and a tire pressure thing, a tire pump, which are both really small.
Yeah.
And I didn't need them, but holy cow, if I had, it would have been nice to have those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took them. We basically brought one of those things, and I think one thing that helps when Free and I travel is that we both don't have to carry those things. So if I'm bringing a pump and I have this, he doesn't have to bring a pump. He could save that space for something else. So he brought a lot of the tools that he needed. I brought the pump that we needed, and yeah, I got a little jump pack as well. Had that just in case it's be stuck and you come out on your bike and it won't turn over, and it's all because you need a jump.
Mm-hmm.
And even the tools that I brought, I didn't need them, and I didn't suspect that I would need them anyways. I mean, I was taking a Honda, and Hondas just don't die like that. And if it is, it's going to be something spectacular that my little roll of tools is not going to affect at all.
A screwdriver and one wrench isn't going to be able to fix.
Right. We're going to have a transmission failure, clutch failure, full engine failure, which is rare. But I mean, that's the only thing really, because before I left, I was in the garage with that thing, like every fluid, just everything. I've gone through everything. Everything was tight and right on that bike. I knew it, and it just and then one thing, like I'm sitting there riding down the street. It was funny because sitting there riding down, I think we might have been in Cherokee, and that's when I finally realized it, at least. But I'm riding and I'm starting to get nervous because I'm like, I know when I left, Buffalo, I had this bike tight, right, everything except for that front tire, but had everything perfect, and I'm riding down the street and now I'm hearing this rattling, just like metallic, rattling and shit, like something's loose. I'm like, I know, I'm bouncing the front end. I'm trying to hit, bumps to try to get it to do it again. And sure enough, every bump, this thing is just, rattling and like metallic clinking together. And we got to that Harley Davidson, and I finally realized Jeff had bought me one of the bells, for my birthday that's underneath there ringing along and everything. So the bike was nice and tight. But,
the bell.
The gremlin bell.
Yeah, I got a little nervous there. I was just like, oh, the bell, that's what it is.
That reminds me, it's a very small thing, but I would say if you do have a problem with thinking something's going to come loose, I would pack you a little tube of Loctite too. You never know.
Yeah, just in case.
I had a couple handles fly off of my bag.
I had a saddlebag almost fly off on me.
I put permanent Loctite on it, super glue.
There you go.
I don't need to change it.
See, Brandon, you chatted us here, said ride by faith, baby, and then he said he's got it figured out. I think that might have been the comments about Free not having a hotel before he leaves.
You got to let the universe make some of the decisions here.
Oh man. All right, what else? What else on this road trip, guys? So I always make sure that the bike is top notch, right? So I always get the service done on it, get the tires checked. Yeah. I had a weird one the last time I went to Sturgis. I had like nails in my rear tire, and somehow the thing was still holding pressure.
Oh wow!
Yeah. You brought
what's the acronym they tell you? Is it T-Locks?
Oh yeah, here, lay it on us, Bash. Oh, you remember it better than we do.
Don't put me on the spot. I just heard it. I don't know all the acronyms.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember that there's like a list of these are all the things you're supposed to look at.
Yeah.
Right. Someone's got to put in the chat.
Yeah.
I think you hit on it before, Bash, was when you're telling me about your last road trip, or maybe when I was watching your videos. We were talking about the gear that you're going to bring, and one of the things that you talk about is, I know you said you're going on like a 10-day trip, and you're like, I got, everything you described is only like half as much as you actually needed, and I was like, oh, what is he going to be like recycling underwear and stuff like this? This is interesting to me. And so, I never really thought to myself to wash my clothes midway
Oh,
on a
yeah.
longer trip.
Yeah.
I've
Absolutely.
always just bought more clothes and make sure I had enough. But that to me was genius. And I'm thinking that I might try to use that tactic on my next road trip, is not bringing as much, but plan on washing my clothes halfway through the trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a
I
cheat
like
code.
what I did was there was a couple days that, well, the first day we had rain. So a pair of jeans that I had got wet, and it was a mistake trying to put that into my dry bag, right? And it just was funky. I noticed it pretty quick, though. I took it out, so it didn't do too much damage. But I am like, if we ever do a trip like that again, because it was a very specific trip, we were hitting a hotel every single night. We weren't going to a location, crashing out, and then going back. So it was unpacked, repack every morning, and
Right.
it was pound miles, get to the next place, pack, repack. So with the jeans situation, I decided that, look, jeans are out there, you know what I mean, in the wind and the wet sometimes, and they're carrying like the most scent, you know what I mean? Maybe a t-shirt, not so much, but the jeans at least. So I said, look, I'm dedicating, while we're riding, that there's one riding pair of jeans that I'm wearing.
Oh, yeah.
And after that, it goes in a plastic bag, or if I can wash it, that's fine. But, I take those jeans when we get to each hotel and, try to air them out, try to, dry as much as possible. But, it may sound nasty, but, if you want the rest of your clothes to smell halfway decent,
Completely agree.
Riding clothes to be in for them days. If you're in that scenario where it's multiple hotels each and every day.
The only alternative for that is chaps. And so if you're wearing chaps, if it's cool enough out to where you can wear chaps, then your jeans will stay a lot cleaner. But if you're riding without chaps on, man, your jeans get bugged up like crazy, man. They're nasty.
The first rain put over to them, and then that road smell, like you can smell it in your clothes, after you've been riding, and that day in and day out, I was like, there's no way I'm putting this back in with the rest and cycling through. So yeah, dedicate some riding clothes and let them be your nasty riding clothes. Be a cowboy.
I did the same thing.
Let's see, what else? What else do you prep for a long road trip?
So there was something that got brought up. I don't think too many people think about it, but it's actually with newer bikes with the key fob. They tell you one thing that I was looking at from other riders was practicing putting in your code to start your bike without the fob, just in case you lose your fob. So I think that's super important that you know what your code is.
That's a good idea. You know what's funny though, Bash, is that I've had, I don't know, 5 or 6 bikes with fobs. And I've never lost my fob, which, the next time I leave, now that I said that, losing the fob automatically, it's just going to happen. I'm going to get out the door. I'm going to get down the road. It's gone.
Right now.
Yeah. But you're right, because if you've ever tried to put the code in your bike without the fob, it's dang near impossible. You're just like, why is this so hard? And you just need to practice it with the book, so you know what you're doing and get it down. Yeah.
2 experiences with that. Just recently for me, I took the ST out, and I definitely left the key at home. So it started in the house. I had it at home. I had started it right up. Walked in the house. I set the keys down to put other stuff and pick up other stuff. Walked out, got on the bike, and left. We went out to a bike show, and this is the most embarrassing. So I'm getting off the bike. I hear the alarm go bloop, bloop. I'm just casually getting off the bike. And then it's like, hey, wait a minute, hold on. And it just starts screaming. And I'm like, oh, and then I realized I don't have the fob. I can't turn off the alarm. And it's just going off. And I'm at this bike night. And I'm just totally embarrassed, just absolutely embarrassed, standing next to my bike that's screaming at me. And everyone's coming over to look at the brand new bike, so I'm like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah, you're like new guy vibes. New guy vibes.
But yeah, most recently, when I attended, where were we on Ohio? Free, where you found somebody's key in the parking lot? Somebody's fob?
Yeah, that sucked, man. Somebody's key sitting right in the middle of the parking lot. I didn't know what else to do. I mean, everyone was gone and leaving. So I just put it back down in the parking spot where it was at. I mean,
I figured if you think you lost your fob, you're going to probably go back to where I was parked. Maybe I lost it where I was. So we kind of left it there and hoped the person came back for it. There was nowhere else to leave it.
God, that is just so, Bash. There's all the validation you need for learning how to put the code into the bike. Jeff's story and Free's story here. Oh man.
So.
All right. So we're about 35 minutes in here, guys, and we've talked about round town ride. What is it? What's a road trip? We've tried to distinguish between those two things just so we can get our minds around what do you do to prep for those things. But now I got a spicy question for you, and the question is this: what bike did you take on a road trip and you regretted it? And so you got to a certain point and you're like, holy crap, man, this is not the bike for this job.
Oh, let me go.
It's not that dirt bike behind you, is it?
No. It was Sturgis 22. It was Sturgis 22 with my Victory Hammer 8-ball. And I took that bike because it was either that bike or a sport bike. So that one actually won. But I was trying to make that cruiser into a touring bike, and it just didn't work. So the saddlebags broke when I was there, and I absolutely regretted that part of it. I thought that that was just absolutely horrible. In my mind, it didn't ruin the trip, because I don't want to say that year was ruined, but it definitely put stress on me that I was always concerned about how much weight I was putting in it for the rest of the trip. And, I'm always checking on it to make sure it's still there and making sure the bolts are good. And I was focused on that a lot of the trip, and absolutely regretted taking that bike there, and which is the reason how I got into my first Harley Davidson.
I think that the only thing I can really, now you're talking about a road trip or just around the town? Because there was one bike that I wish I had a different bike round the town situation, but then
let's hear it.
Well, the first one was when I was first starting out. My second bike was only a Honda 650, and that was a step up from the Honda 400 that I had the year before, the first year. So I had some pretty big power behind. I had 650 cc's pushing.
That's a lot.
All four cylinders down the freeway. So we came back, and it was the beach thing, man. Oh, I got left. So everybody else is on sport bikes, leader or better. And, we're out there, we're having fun at this beach. It's about an hour from home. We get on the throughway, and of course, all the sport bikes want to play around. They're gone, man. And this bike, I had to lift my feet up onto the highway bars to get up to 75 because it'd be stuck at 70 if I had my feet down. There was too much drag, So I put my feet up and I cranked that bad boy, and I just seen red lights getting smaller and smaller. And I promised myself as I'm riding, and I got to say, Jeff was very, very understanding. He waited up for me, although he was on a sport bike and could have easily kept up. But
it was a Katana 600. I was being left too.
But no, as I sat there growling inside of my helmet, like promising myself, never again, never again. The year after that was a V65 Sabre. That's Book of World Records from 85 to 89, fastest bike. So it was a huge step up. But yeah, promised myself it'll never happen again after that one. But the most recent one, and I think it was still considered around town, because I don't know if it was a multi-day trip that we were taking, but I had Red Rum, and I think it was Red Rum is a 04 Honda VTX 1300. And that year I got sick of that windshield. I'm sick of looking at it. I just took it off. Let's cruise, man. And we went to some trip. I don't know where we went. It was a couple hours or something. And, it's a fight riding a bike with beach bars and no windshield, nothing. It was a fight, man. And about a couple hours into that, I'm realizing, like, what the heck am I doing out here without a windshield on this thing? It was such a huge difference. I only had a smaller, a sportier windshield on it to start, so there was still a lot of wind, but without it, holy smokes, man! Like, yeah, I learned I'm not a raw dog, no windshield type of rider, unless we're staying close.
So back in 2014, 2015, I sound like my grandfather. Every time I say a year, I'd say the year after it. No, and then go back to the first year. Like, no, it is 2014. Anyway, I had a 2014 V-Rod Muscle. And V-Rod, great bike, lots of power, but I rode it to Sturgis. A little something about the V-Rod. It's got a 5-gallon tank, and it only gets 35 miles to a gallon. And so if you do the math on that, you're getting about 120 miles when you're on the freeway doing 70 or 80 miles an hour.
That's great mileage compared to Titan.
And I was riding with my buddy who had an Ultra, and his Ultra would do 220.
Yeah.
And so he thankfully, Kurt, I don't know if you're out there listening to this, but Kurt, thank you for being so kind to me. But he had to put up with stopping at basically every gas station in South Dakota as we were riding out to Sturgis. And there was one time we stopped and he said, screw it, man. I'm just going to wait till the next gas station. He literally just stopped filling up at a certain point. And I'm just like, I am so sorry, man. But that bike was not the bike for the job. And so I was working at Harley at the time. And the guy who did motorcycle product planning for Harley Davidson was there at the hotel when we showed up. And he said, "You rode that V-Rod here from Milwaukee?" And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, "We didn't make that bike for this job." He's like, "That is not the bike to ride to Sturgis." And I'm like, yes, I figured that out after stopping at every gas station on the way. That was a long ride.
No, actually, I would say I'm pretty much right in line with what Free was talking about. My first motorcycle was, of course, the 883, and I tricked my mind into thinking that I was going to keep it for a while. And all it takes is that one time getting on the freeway, and you're just getting gapped by so many motorcycles, and then you're also getting tossed around by all the traffic wind, and I was terrified to put that thing on the freeway after the first couple of times. I was like, I just don't even want to get on the freeway anymore with this thing. So I think that 883 only lasted maybe about 3 months with me. But needless to say, I still love the bike, but it's not enough motorcycle in the beginning for you. You get tired of it really quick.
Yep. All right, guys. So what did we miss? Round town versus road trip. I got to say this. Just got back from Sturgis a few weeks ago. And the ride to Sturgis was positively epic. And I've been daydreaming about being out in Sturgis for the last few weeks. As I'm sure, like, Bash, you were daydreaming about being in Milwaukee, or Jeff out in Sturgis, right? And I'm like, I don't really daydream about around town trips, but I do daydream about going out to Sturgis, just being on that long ride.
Yeah, as Sturgis is one, and at the same time, I have some daydreams about rides I haven't done yet. So, Bikes, Blues, and Barbecues, that one is on my mind a lot. Knowing that it's going on very shortly from now, it's right around the corner.
Just a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yep. So it's a little bit on my mind, but it's on my mind for next year. So really, really, really a lot. And it's conflicting with Sturgis being on my mind as well, because I know I can't do them both. They're too close together as far as timing, as far as distance from my house. They're just too far away to even realistically say I'm going to do them both. So I only can do one or the other. And yeah, I'm daydreaming about both of them though. It's ones I've done and one I haven't done, and I'm just kind of imagining what it would be like to be there. So yeah, I definitely feel you on that. But yeah, no, local runs are not so much there, with the exception, and which I'm going to probably do. Free, I want to suggest this to you is, a lot of people have been doing a lot of the videos about what's going on in their local area. You know, this is kind of local to me, and you kind of get used to it yourself, so you don't really show other people it. But the Niagara Falls, man, we could do a video on Niagara Falls and really talk about that, and get a lot of footage on just Niagara Falls, because to us it's a half an hour away. It's right down the road, but to a lot of other people who you might never have seen that. So I guess there is some around town things that you can show people as well, and it's not so much I daydream about them, but it's things that have those have a little positivity to them.
I hope you were talking about the actual falls and not Niagara Falls, the city.
Oh yes, yeah.
Okay.
Don't diss Niagara Falls, the city, Free. Come on.
Right. But yeah, the falls is awesome. The falls is awesome. And, I did a quick little short too, because we were riding around and we went to what is it? The the whirlpool. The Whirlpool Park, where you can go down steps and go right down by the whirlpool. There's a certain 90-degree angle that it takes right after the falls, and it creates this giant whirlpool in this huge area. And there's a park that overlooks it, and a trail that you can go right down by the water. And it's just like amazing views, all this water coming down, and like you forget sometimes that we have stuff like that right in our backyard, and also like roads, like people. In certain places, I don't know, like what is it, Arkansas or whatever, where out in the prairies and it's a lot of flat land, and they dream about mountain roads and tree-covered roads and little windy roads, and we got that all through the South towns here. I mean, it's an hour away from us, or we have Pennsylvania. We keep going, and it gets better and better and better. So, I agree, Jeff, that I think we could definitely showcase some of the roads, some of the and not only just here, but like in Ohio. Oh my goodness. Somebody told me Ohio just had flat roads, man. Like that is an absolute lie. Don't let anybody tell you that. Like Ohio has some of the best roads and most technical roads I have ever ridden on. That includes Sturgis, Needles Highway, all of that. Like the Triple Nickel, like half of it's smooth and kind of winding. But then the other half, man, you better tie your shoes, man. Like it's got some technical, some gradient. It's got those, those. I love them, but I hate them, man. Where you're going up over a hill, but then it turns, but it doesn't turn until after the top of the hill, and you have no idea.
Oh yeah.
And it's turning down and to the left, and it's like your bike just don't like that angle, man, and like your brain has to think, okay, where do I need to lean this thing for this to be all right? And but no, great roads, man. That was on our journey to try to find the tail of the dragon, Ohio's tail of the dragon, and I think we found something a lot better than the tail of the dragon, to be honest. And this is coming from a guy that's never been to the tail of the dragon. So.
Yeah, I need to get out there. I need to get out to the tail of the dragon. But I think from my road trip, I think I'm more reminisce about Oklahoma and Arkansas. I think they had some great roads out there, and I really want to get back out there soon because it's not too far away from me. So I know I'll probably take a trip there, hopefully before it starts getting too cold. But I do want to showcase a lot more of Houston. I mean, we're right down the street from Galveston, so I'll probably go down to Galveston as well and shoot a lot of footage down there too. So,
well, you guys got a big rally down in Galveston in November, right?
We do, but I'm actually going out of town that weekend. Yeah, I know, but it is what it is. I'll have plenty of time to showcase it.
There you go.
I keep dreaming about the Keys, man. Like I keep dreaming about just shooting all the way down from New York all the way to the Keys.
I want to do that so bad.
Yeah. It's. I've seen a couple other people have done it, and I got a pretty good plan on how I want to do it. But because I got a buddy in Miami, so that's kind of like a built-in rest stop in the area, kind of landing pad. But other than that, I mean, like I think it's the same thing. I mean, we're actually in our planning stage now. Me and Jeff are kind of throwing a list around and kind of putting a pin in the ones that we think we're going to be able to get to and that we want to get to. And I agree. I think maybe we need to do something a little different. The bikes, brews, and barbecue. I like barbecue. I like bikes.
And that's a really cool event. And the area down there, Rogers, Arkansas, it's a really cool Fayetteville, that whole area. there's this place called Eureka Springs, which is just beautiful. I mean, it's just so much cool stuff down there. It's a great rally. I went there one time, worked it, and had a great time.
That's where Adam Sandoval's campgrounds is in Eureka Springs.
Is it in Eureka Springs? I thought he was in Oklahoma.
He's got like 4 of them now, 4 or 5.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Hey, Donna and I are going for a long ride here in a couple of weeks. We're going up to Door County, Wisconsin, which, if you've heard of that, that's the peninsula. Where Green Bay is. East and north of Green Bay is Door County, and so we're going to go up there and spend the weekend riding the bikes. That'll be a fun ride.
Nice.
Yeah, we did that on the way over, so that was a nice ride.
Yeah, it's pretty neat up there.
Our next one is Friday the 13th. So if you're out there and you're watching right now, there's a rally in Port Dover, Ontario, Canada, on every Friday the 13th, and so that one is coming up in just 2 weeks. Is it 2 weeks now? Yeah.
Very cool.
So, yeah. About 2 weeks from now, it's just a 1-day rally, and pretty cool. It's a 1-day huge. I guess it's the biggest 1-day rally, and that's record breaker kind of thing. Just so
cool.
Over 100,000, 160, 170,000 bikes.
Holy mackerel!
In this little tiny town, it's a little tiny town, and everyone it just gets flooded with motorcycles on 1 day a year. Well, not 1 day a year, because Friday the 13th could happen multiple times in a year. This year, it's only this one time, and it's was it September 13th.
Wow!
Even in January, they go.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can't imagine a lot of people.
Not many show up with a bike in Canada in January, but they still do the rally and have the rally.
They still do it. Oh wow, that's cool.
Sure.
And it started off. That's a really cool one, and that's why I like it too. I'm kind of attracted to those, and I'm looking for the more authentic bike rallies and bike events, because that started off with just a group of riders that used to just ride out there and get something to eat, and like they started inviting people, and all of a sudden, like, their family and stuff used to always come with them, and it was this big group of people that they know each other, but other people started coming in and hearing about it, and it literally just started word of mouth, and no one has sponsored it. It just is. Bikers know about it, and bikers come on the 13th, on Friday, every Friday the 13th. Bikers just show up, and they don't need. I mean, I'm sure the vendors now, somebody's organizing the vendors, but it started off one of those authentic kind of bike group get together type of things. So
cool.
It's kind of cool that with it being so big right now, it's just amazing that is it, because like I said, it's in this tiny little town, little side streets with houses, and they're just rode up with bikes on both sides. You can't even find parking. We had to circle around 5-10 blocks before we found a place to park.
Man. All right, guys. Well, hey, I think we drained the conversation here on around town versus road trips. I put up the banner down there to remind everyone that's watching this video, go out, check out FreeFree's channel and Jeff's channel and Bash's and MKE Bikers. Subscribe, like, share, like, subscribe, like, share, and leave us some comments on this video. Tell us things that you'd be interested in hearing us talk about, and we're going to keep on tossing a couple things out there and just see what sticks. Really appreciate you guys for watching today. Any last words? Toss them out there, fellas.
I appreciate
Get your free merch. free merch.
That's funny. I appreciate you putting this together and taking the time and spending this time with you guys. So it's a lot of fun. I really had a good time talking to you guys. But it's a good time talking about motorcycles to me anytime.
Oh yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm always up for this. Yeah. All right, fellas.
All right.
It was good chatting with you. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye, everyone.